My name is Andrew, and I live in Oakland. Woke up at around 10, and usually there's a good amount of light coming through my window, and there was no light coming through my window, and I went and opened my front door, and there it was, you know. Yeah, it was like nighttime. It was red. It was very red.
It was just a huge new statement from nature that we ought to be paying attention. In September of 2020, we really had a horrifying coming together of different conditions that amplify wildfires. Very unusual air circulation patterns and dramatic convergence over an area with millions of people.
I live in the Mission in San Francisco.
I remember waking up that day being extremely confused.
Just being afraid, collectively afraid with everyone else.
That was like the end of the world.
And it was this orange glow.
It felt like the end of the world.
So apocalyptic, it just
Kind of like, Mars.
For many people, the world was just a lot less comforting and hospitable than it had been the day before. September of 2020 was a period of the largest wildfires the state of California has seen in recorded history. On September 9th, there were almost 500,000 acres ablaze in Oregon, and tremendous amounts of smoke were being released. The quantity of smoke was very, very high, and it was converging on the state. Smoke wasn't right against the ground. It was up several thousand feet in the atmosphere where it was mixing with fog to create essentially a blanket that the sunlight had to come through. We had decent air quality close to the ground, but we're looking at a world with illumination that was coming through this smoke cloud above us. So dense that people noticed as the day, September 9th, went on, that it got darker and darker during the day rather than lighter and lighter. And the reason the cloud is red is kind of like the reason that sunsets are red. White sunlight is all the colors of the rainbow. The light with shorter wavelengths, the blues, the greens, don't make it through a dense cloud like that. Only the light with the longest wavelengths, the oranges and the reds, make it through. And that's why the sky seemed like it was this orangey, reddy color. Recognizing that it was like a signal that was putting a giant exclamation point around how serious and unusual our situation was. The most recent studies indicate that in the last couple of decades, about half of the increase in wildfire activity is a direct result of the climate changes that have already occurred. In the last 30 years or so, climate change has basically doubled the amount of area that we lose in wildfires in a typical year.
Okay, where do we go?
What climate change does is act very, very efficiently and in a targeted way to dry the most flammable components of a forest. The small twigs, the leaves. Just a few days of hot temperatures and dry winds can change these little twigs and leaves from maybe you could set them on fire to almost being explosive.
Oh, it's so hot.
Climate change definitely causes more wildfires, more days when we have wildfires, more days when we have heavy smoke.
Where are my wife and kids?
The challenges that people in San Francisco face around Orange Day are nothing in comparison to what the people whose lives are at risk from rampaging out of control wildfire are. Orange Day was more than anything else just a giant exclamation point about how serious the conditions are and how weird the situation was.
I feel like they are getting worse, and I feel like those fires are just going to be a constant thing.
It's hard not to have an apocalyptic consciousness.
It just means our climate change is upon us, as we've been warned for so long.
It seemed to fit with the idea of the future being gloomier and this is going to become more ordinary.
The reason for this dark sky was these terrible fires that had caused so much damage and loss of life, and that every year it's getting worse due to climate change. So